I've said it once, I'll say it again. We're fucked.
Yep.
There ain't no way to win it. They got us from all ends. They got us by the balls.
You're funny. That was good. Got us by the balls. And earlier, like going with as the Israeli group, they love that. And it's like, yeah, it's good stuff. It's good. It's good stuff, dude. It's good stuff. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Media mogul Ted Turner, dead at the age of 87. Interesting cat. He was kind of the mouth of the South, and then later, of course, wrestling manager Jimmy Hart took that moniker. But Ted Turner, what an interesting character in so many different ways. Ed, did you see Trump? Trump said a nice thing about him. Like, wow, why are you saying nice things about this guy? I don't know. I thought it was interesting. He was a big deal in the media world, of course. And then, he had a bunch of environmental things. He's one of these, limousine libs who's, Captain Planet, I'm going to save the world. Okay, great. Again, I'm very skeptical of that, folks. I don't know. Some of you fall for some of that stuff in this direction or that direction. And let me give you an example of the directions, and then we'll get back to Billionaire Ted. There's an old thing. I was like, well, how does it go? I don't know. This line goes something about how the last refuge of the scoundrel is to wrap himself in the flag. In other words, some people like to use patriotism. Oh, look how patriotic I am. I kind of get that vibe from Trump sometimes. Yeah, do you really care, Trump, about this country or about the people in this country? It's kind of like when he was up there with Hillary in 2016 and, I don't pay taxes because I'm smart. Like, well, no, you're unpatriotic, dumbass. So who's paying for the troops then? Yeah, we're just going deeper into the hole. We're borrowing from China and the Saudis. Anyway, that's another thing. All right, so Billionaire Ted. Oh my gosh, my golly, what an incredible American success story. I could go negative and talk about his manic depression and maybe allegedly his mental illness, which is a very serious thing, by the way. If you have that, please see a professional. It's some serious stuff. I've been around some people and I've had some real life experience with it. And it's heavy duty, but with the right medication, the right therapy and diet and exercise, you can get a hold of it. You can. But a lot of people get cocky and they like those manic waves. Well, anyway, once in a while, crazy people get, they like those manic waves, and maybe it worked for Ted once in a while. Then he had to get the lithium and calm down. But anyway, Ted Turner, Channel 17. What's so interesting, folks, is that this started out as just a little channel in Atlanta. And it showed reruns and old movies and stuff. It wasn't even like that hip or anything. Bill Tush was on there, and Bill Tush, he was like a news guy for a while. And of course, but his big innovation was headline news. Eventually, then CNN, cable news network. That's right. A lot of people are like, oh, good cable news. Oh, it's Fox, right? No, long before Fox. No, Ted was the pioneer of this. Ted frickin' Turner Broadcasting System. That was Channel 17, WTBS out of Atlanta. And what was so special about that? Well, eventually you got the Atlanta Braves on there. So if you're a baseball fan, you care about that kind of stuff. And then people, well, here's what was big about it. What was big about it is that he got his Channel 17 on a lot of these early cable packages, systems, as cable went all over the country gradually, okay? And like me, I didn't get cable till like the early 80s as a kid growing up, and we didn't have much. We didn't have any MTV. I don't think we had a weather channel. We had like headline news. We had HBO. Oh, that was a big thing, HBO. Oh, home box office. And we had WTBS and maybe one other thing. It was a very small package, And then you meet other people and they had 20 channels or 50 channels and they got MTV and all this other stuff. But that all came later and then just went crazy. And where are we at now? I don't even know where we're at right now. I don't have cable, people. What is it, 500 channels? 1,000 channels? Mostly of garbage, who said that one? Bruce Springsteen said that one, 50 channels, and there's nothing to watch, nothing on TV. So, crazy world. But anyway, he had a gem. And that's where I'm going with this thing. Georgia Championship Wrestling. Oh my God, with Gordon Sully, the host, and the Freebirds, and Tommy Wildfire Rich, and Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, and Ric Flair would come in there, and Dusty Rhodes would come in there, and the Freebirds, the Road Warriors eventually got their big break there in '83. I mean, it was just awesome. It was awesome. And it was being projected, of course, all over the country because Ted and his WTBS Channel 17 was getting put in all these cable packages. And that's probably what set off Vinnie Mac, who I hate to this day. You're still alive. Hate your guts, pal. Hate you. I don't know if I've had anybody that I've hated for this long. I mean, there's politicians, but I don't know anybody, because I started hating them when I was a kid. It's like 84, and I could see what Vince McMahon Jr. wanted to do by taking over wrestling. But he probably saw Georgia Championship Wrestling and said, whoa, because they started to expand outside of Georgia, and they started going into Ohio and Michigan, because the Sheik's big-time wrestling territorial promotion kind of folded there. And so they were going into these other areas now, and they're being seen by everybody. It was very exciting stuff that they had there. And a lot of guys from Mid-Atlantic, from the Carolinas, would come down to Georgia. And it was a hotbed. Oh, like I say, Ric Flair, Austin Idol, Roddy Piper. I mean, so many people came through there. So many people became bigger stars from there. Jake the Snake Roberts, Bruiser Brody was coming in and out of there. Masked Superstar. I mean, it was a hotbed. It was a hotbed. And that's really what I think would help make WTBS. And Georgia Championship Wrestling later became World Championship Wrestling, and that would be on every Saturday night, and it got high ratings, and it's really what helped make that station. And later on, it was crazy. Vince McMahon he had other cable channels, WWOR out of New York and USA Network. He had different shows. He was trying to compete. Eventually, he had to buy that slot there, and some shares of Georgia Championship Wrestling were sold to him. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, long story short, he and Ted had some problems, and eventually he sold out to the Crockett's, and that's what financed the first WrestleMania. Isn't that crazy, folks? And then eventually the Crockett's, towards the later part of the 80s, then they sold the whole thing, the whole wrestling company, not just the TV time, to Ted Turner himself. Problem is with Ted, he's had all these other TV things going on, and had Jane Fonda as one of his trophy wives and everything, and he had a lot going on, so he didn't really give his full attention to it, because it would have been great if he had put the proper means to beat the WWF. It would have been a great thing to see happen. Eventually, Eric Bischoff, again, a complete freaking idiot. I hate you too, Bischoff. I hate Vince Russo more, by the way, and I hate Vince McMahon Jr. the most. But you guys are a bunch of goons and idiots. How you ever conned your way into the wrestling business? You had no business being in the wrestling business. You were just a stupid announcer on the AWA that was going down the toilet. And then I don't know how you con somebody, because in Larry Zbyszko's book, he talks about how you got the job over somebody from World Class Championship Wrestling, which had fallen down as well, but at one time was one of the greatest territorial areas in professional wrestling history. That's the Von Erich and Freebird, and oh god, it was such a great promotion from 82 to 86, especially. Made the Iron Claw movie, saw the tragedies, the story that helped to bring the whole thing down. Very sad. But how Eric Bischoff, again, good-looking dudes. I don't know, somebody corporate at WTBS he had lunch with or something. I don't know, just saying. But yeah, he, and then eventually Billionaire Ted did kind of open up the wallet, and he wanted to defeat WWF, and he did, at least in their TV Monday Night Wars and the Monday Night ratings, where Monday Night Nitro was on TNT, also a Turner-owned network, against USA's WWF Raw, Monday Night Raw, and they went back and forth. And about 80-something weeks or so, WCW did get better ratings, but they were just spending money, foolishly, and it was so crazy. And it was the classic cliche. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen. And, Vince, on the other side, he was just he was a dictator. So he didn't have to deal with these other cooks, so to speak. He had to deal with a lot of people, a lot of characters as well. But he hung on, and unfortunately, WCW, again, Ted Turner had thrown so much money at that, and it was doing okay for a while, and the NWO angle was great. Hogan going heel was great. Still had Ric Flair there. They got Roddy Piper, even brought Bret Hart in. It was really, it was kind of working in such a cool way, because Vince was getting his comeuppance a little bit of karma. Where what he did in the 80s, how he destroyed his competition, is he just went and poached everybody. Took Hogan from the AWA, took this guy from here, and it really wasn't like, oh, I got a better product. It was, I'll take your best talent for my product, and then I'll work opposition against you. And, that's what he did, and eventually, drove everybody under. It still bothers me to this day, but it happened. And then, as I say, in the 90s, WCW put up a little more of a fight, and they started taking people away from Vince. So it was a little more of a karma, what goes around comes around kind of a thing. But unfortunately, with WCW, too many cooks in the kitchen. I blame Eric Bischoff. I blame Vince Russo. Even Kevin Nash. Yeah, you're just a big idiot. I mean, Scott Hall was very talented, and of course Hogan was. He's very talented, very good charisma. But yeah, Kevin Nash, you're kind of a waste. You're just a big dude. You were trying to be funny all the time. It's like, no, you're big. You're supposed to scare people. You're supposed to be intimidating. I think he's got a podcast this day. Hollywood still calls him. He's in the Magic Mike movie with frickin' Matthew McConaughey. So I don't know how the hell, Kevin. You got some good representation, I guess. I don't know how you do it, but you're still around. You're doing your silly podcast. You're just a big dork, like you've always been, Kev. So I know you could probably beat me up. I don't care. I'd love to just punch. Well, no, we don't want to say anything like that. No, I'm sure Kevin Nash, old man, he can still squash me. But no, we don't want to say anything violent, Kevin. Just I think you were one of those cooks in the kitchen who he helped ruin WCW. He'll tell you, no, there was a buyout, AOL, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but you helped to create the mess that these other corporate people didn't want to be a part of. So a little bit of it's on you, Kev. But J.J. Dillon's talked about this in his book, Wrestlers Are Like Seagulls, and he does a great job in that. And really, Bischoff was so stupid. He had a lot of people like Kevin Sullivan and J.J. Dillon and Terry Taylor, a lot of older guys who could have helped him with the business. And when they went off the rails a little bit and started losing to Vince in the Monday Night Wars and the ratings, these older guys could have helped him get back on track there, but... And the Bill Goldberg thing, what an idiot that guy was. They pushed him too hard, too fast, folks. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready yet. They should have kept him off TV for a while and just kept using him and putting him over, on house shows and stuff. But they should have, too much, too fast. And they put too much on TV. And they had Goldberg win the belt, I think, on television. Like, no, save that for a pay-per-view. Save that for something. No. So many things. You get all these different people all wanting what they... And so... Ted Turner, again, he is really a big part of the professional wrestling story. He is a big part of the cable news network as we know today, because back then they were probably like, hey, you can't have a 24-hour news channel. There's not enough news. And now look, here we are. We got 24-hour news, and they still don't tell us the whole story or enough of the story. Yeah, so no, there's always been news, folks. They just don't give us everything. So anyway, but Ted was a part of what has become very commonplace now. A lot of young people are like, what, you didn't always have 24-hour news on cable? No, we didn't, folks. You had your news sometimes in the mornings, and then you had maybe a 5 or 6 o'clock news. Then you had like a 10 o'clock news. This is all like on your local TV stations, long before cable expanded and went crazy. So rest in peace, Ted Turner.